Our series. We've got a friend of the show, Mr. Vinny Shoreman. So how are you doing?
Very good, thank you. How's your good selves?
We are good. It's been a little while since we saw you.
Yeah, look at you. Look at you two.
And look at the
moved
hair.
house.
You look like you still look about 752 years old.
The lighting is.
Get me some.
How are you keeping though since we last saw you?
Obviously, with what's going on, feeling compromised like everybody else. Earlier, when this lockdown started, I was more involved in it in the way of being what's the word? Worried, I'd say. But since the days and the weeks go on, you've been learning to cope and recognise that things are necessary for us to do.
Yeah. Was the one thing, the first thing I want to ask you is how can periods of isolation seriously affect people's mental health and what in what way and why and that kind of stuff?
It depends on the person, doesn't it? It's a very good question, but it's a very widespread question as well. All depends on the individual, on each person. Some people suffer from. Don't forget, I live with my two kids, my wife. I've got a dog, a rabbit. I've got a gym outside, so I'm very lucky and blessed. You know, I'm not of that ancient age, or I might look it, but I'm not of that age where I should be worried. Or I don't live on my own. It must be very difficult for some people, and my hearts go out to them, especially people that are living on their own. And old people, etc. It's a difficult time, so it's going to be difficult for people in many different ways, because of the isolation and the loneliness is a very difficult thing to cope with.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the thing that always gets brought up now in the news is that people being locked down, the nation's mental health, suicide, that kind of stuff.
I told you, James, when we got on the call before, I was reading an article that I saw. There was, I think it was a kid over in Leicester that killed him. Oh, sorry, over at Loughborough University that killed himself because of the lockdown, and he was over there with his two housemates, and it was purely he left a letter home to his parents, and basically the outcome of why he committed suicide was the lockdown and him being in his own mind and not being able to get out to do the usual things that I usually get out to do. Yeah. So, how do you think that reflects on the whole of society at the moment with people like that? Do you think we could see more of that, or
potentially? Yeah, I mean, it's very sad, and my heart goes out to that family. And suicide is very, very saddening in any way, shape, or form. However, he may have had issues anyway that has been accentuated by this situation. He may have done it sooner. No, he couldn't have done it sooner. Sorry, he could have done it later, or not at all. It's just one of those $1 million questions that is very difficult to answer. It's always very, very sad when people commit suicide. They go to somewhere which fortunately I haven't got any experience of because I haven't felt that way about life. But it's certainly not going to help this situation. It's certainly not going to help when people are drumming up conspiracy theories and putting things out there that are not true and that will send people on a dark path. Because every conspiracy theory I've ever heard, there is never any bright outcome. It's always, we're this, they're doing that, we're fucked. So it's very sad, yeah. And it's a difficult time for people.
Is it just like a I don't know, like a vicious circle of people have a lot of time to listen to these things, they look into it, they learn more, they look into it,
it's like anything. They go down. Look, I don't walk on water or clouds or anything like that. But I've done it myself where it was things on WhatsApp where they sent. It was the military. There was videos of the military, and it's going down the M62 and that, and then they were saying it's going to be martial law and stuff. And I was like, shit, yeah, because it looks legit. I mean, there's a lot of things out there that people have made up. There was some fellas getting shot on a beach, getting killed, and by these military-looking people. And said at Miami. Well, it wasn't Miami. It was in Sierra Leone, and it was in Sierra Leone in the early 2000s. There's people out there that enjoy making videos and saying, look, this is going on in the world. And how the fuck do you do that? I mean, how do you make something up to inflict panic and fear in people for fun? What is that about? It just shows that there's some really warped people out there, and like you know, and lies, these made up lies. You can a picture of, I don't know. So there's one of Bill Gates stood with, I think it's Jeffrey Epstein, and he's like, oh, and this is where they were planning to do this vaccine to take. I'm like, right, anyone can take I could get a picture with us three, like with me, you and Liam, like we did at the show, and then say the guy in the middle ended up killing 14 children in Belarus after this picture was taken. And then they'll go, hey, just because it's written down, it's on a piece of paper or it's on a meme. Anyone can put a meme together. So, yeah, there's a lot of weird people out there. And I just think that you can get caught up in all sorts of nonsense. And what that does, then it skews your view, and it takes you to places where they're not really needed, are they? They're not really needed.
Well, we had it on the podcast with Lou Campbell. He heads up Andy's Man Club, but what he said was like, "Oh, we live in a microwave society. So everyone wants everything now, and it's even that way with now information. Like, oh, if you want an answer, if I want to know the capital of Zimbabwe, I can go on Google and find it in 1 second. We don't want to read 35 pages of a someone's theory on whatever.
Yeah.
We just want to
make our own decision for it.
Make it mastermind.
Debunk Corona
or whatever. Do you know what I mean? And that's it. Oh, right, done. Next thing, I've got my answer. Is that the dangerous thing about all this? Is that people don't really want to...
Yeah, microwave thinking comes from the compound method, or the compound something to do with compound thinking. So I watched it today actually, and the black box thinking, which is a really good book as well that I started to read. Yeah, everyone wants everything instantaneously, and what you do is when you have a belief, you'll defend it till you're blue in the face. You could be presented with facts, figures, and actual real experts, but you'll go no, because this bloke on YouTube who's a scientist says it's this. Scientist, doctor of what? You can buy a doctorate off the internet. There's a few hypnotherapist people, I'm not going to mention their names, who call themselves doctors. I'm like, right, yeah, sound. You're not. I'm not, and I've been a hypnotherapist for nearly 15 years. It's just ridiculous. I mean, some of them might be, but the majority of it, well, no, I'm a doctor, because it sounds good. Because all of a sudden you say the word doctor, and sitting up and take notice, he's a doctor or he's a professor. You know what I mean? It's an archetype. It's within us to listen to these doctors. Yet, we don't. These people then they give you all this information. Whereas real experts who I know, people who I know who are in the NHS, who are real people, not off YouTube, are real people, warned me, said to me that this COVID-19, this horrible virus is real. It's going to be this way, that way, and that way, and they said that, and it's been and it's come to pass. And it's also a thing that, let's face it, we will get through it. It's not forever, but the more we listen to people that know more than us, the easier it'll be. It's always been that way, hasn't it? Even as kids, teachers said, "Don't run across the road. Don't run across that road, or you'll get run over." There are pretty good laws to live by. So when they say, "Don't do this and don't do that," you go, "Okay." And I get that people think that the governments are doing this, that, and the other. I understand that. To be fair, I've never gone down that type of road because, look, I have a good life and I'm looked after. I've never had any reason to dislike that or think about that or why they're doing this, because I've never been that way inclined. I've always done pretty much as what I'm told, which has not been difficult. So I've had a good life through it. So if it's not broken, don't fix it.
I think just people should just seek information. Like once this kind of kicked off, we proactively looked to try and find a doctor to interview that was working in intensive care unit in the UK, and we managed to find one who listens to the show. She's called Stephanie, and after we spoke to her, we put, for me, regardless of the podcast, put everything into
Brilliant.
perspective that made me not worry anymore. Made me see that, yeah, we need to have this testing and we need to have this. And myself and Julian work in sales in research anyway, so we both kind of had an understanding that, you know, a vaccine's going to take a long time. Clinical will not happen overnight. You can, it's going to be a long process. And then once you kind of get your head around that, you kind of, all right, we're in this for a certain amount of weeks and it's going to be like this for a while, and you kind of come to terms with it.
Yeah, there's more comfort in facts.
Yeah.
Isn't there? There's more comfort in facts. There's no comfort in guessing. No one's got any comfort from guessing, maybes and could be's, and I think. Well, I think denotes that you're not an expert. I know is fact. I think, I reckon they're not truths. But, you know, I just know that I like that how you spoke to the doctor. I think that's fantastic. And I just think that it's proper experts. Why would you seek anyone else? You're not going to ask John in the pub, whose sister knows someone who lives in America, about it when you're having, say, I need a hip replacement. They had a hip replacement. What happened was they ended up giving him another leg. So 3 legs. Do you know what I mean? You know, 3-legged John, don't you? No, you know, it's just, I like facts. I like real information. I don't like someone telling me something when where's your qualification in saying it?
I think now is like more like critical thinking skills is like right now we're seeing how important they are. You know, like you said, there's so much information out there already, and people are quite clearly running with the wrong information, and they're trying to pass those views on people, and it's causing harm. Yeah,
of course it is. And you know what? It's fear. A lot of people that want denying it. Like, I had an argument the other day, and it's stupid. And you know, looking back, I wouldn't do it again. This one was arguing me, saying that there's no one in the hospitals. The hospitals are not busy. Look, hospitals are always busy. You know, hospitals are always busy. A&E's always been busy. When I've been I've been a couple of times to A&E, it's always been busy. It's always been like a waiting list, right? Oh, it's not busy. There's no one in the hospitals, blah, blah, blah. The doctors and nurses are stood about doing nothing. And like the Nightingale Hospital, where there's only like meant to be 46 patients, good. Because then if it's filled, what do you want it filled with people to prove a point? You know, 46 people couldn't fit in another hospital. That's why they put them in the Nightingale. That's why. So you say, well, it's not full. Yeah, you should be glad it's not full, because then it's full of people that potentially could die. What is wrong with people? I don't get it, but that's what you get. Well, the hospitals are not full. You know, you sat in your ass doing now. These people that whinge and moan and they say, oh, they're not doing this and blah, blah, blah. Why aren't you volunteering to help with the NHS then? Why aren't you volunteering? Where's that? You know, they go on and say how awful it is and blah, 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 but you're not doing anything. It's a typical thing. You sit on your ass, you whine about things and do nothing about it, but then expect rewards. Right, okay. Sound.
I think people regret wishing it away. Like, we've had people on the show and say, like, it's kind of it's in a weird way, kind of an exciting and kind of can be a liberating time. Like, I'm on furlough from work. I've had, I can't even think, six weeks now. And it's been, my boss asked me when I signed my second 4 weeks, like, are you bored? I was like, no, I don't want to sound rude, but I'm enjoying it. I'm going to take this time and just completely switch off. And I just think if I didn't and I got to the end of it, that I'd actually regret it.
Yeah.
Not making best use of this time, because let's be honest, it probably won't happen again. Hopefully it doesn't, obviously, but it probably won't anyway, this sort of period of, you know, spending time enjoying time with your family, like you're at home all the time, Vinny.
Yeah.
It must be quite nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the most difficult thing in the world staying in, is it? You know, it's not, is it? It's not the most difficult world. We're not. I mean, look, I'm very lucky, and without a shadow of a doubt, I'm a very lucky human being. Okay, my sister's had the virus. My in-laws have had the virus. Good friend, like I mentioned, the SAS. Shh, shouldn't mention that, should I? No, the NHS. Darren, he's had the virus, and so is his wife. You know, and I'm in a very lucky position. But it's not the most difficult thing to stay in the house, is it? You know, it's not. It's not great. None of us want it, but we're all in it together. And I think if we got our heads round being in it together, having a community, hopefully it'll make the world a better place, because we realise the importance of actual, real face-to-face communication, you know, and hugs and going round for barbecues and seeing your friends and seeing you. I mean, I've got a son and he lives like 200 yards away with his mum and his stepdad and their daughter, and I don't see him either. So we're all suffering to some degree, in some way, shape, or form. But you know, if we adhere by the rules, do what we have to do, not let it spread everywhere, and win. What's difficult about that?
Yeah, you're right. To go back to the point from before, it kind of all tweaked together. Obviously, you probably get asked about Joe Rogan all the time. We have to for you. But he's one thing that he's super consistent with, and he always says is like, "I'm an idiot. I don't know anything." And like, obviously, kind of tongue in cheek, but at the same time, he's kind of detached from his own ego in terms of like having to have an opinion on stuff that he doesn't know about, and he just like for experts will come and kind of educate him, and he will just ask questions.
Yeah.
Like, how important is that for people that could do that, to say, look, I don't know about coronavirus, and that's fine. Like, I don't know, rather than push ideas or thoughts onto other people, which then someone else pushes that for, and it's like Chinese whispers or Facebook.
Yeah, of course.
Share.
The people would rather be interesting instead of interested, which is a saying of mine. You know, they want to be interesting. They have to. People don't like not knowing. It's like a classroom full of kids, and the teacher asks a question, and you're scared to put your hand up because you might know, but you don't want to look stupid. We'll have to have an opinion. I know nothing about football. All right. And as often as I got a taxi in Liverpool, are you a red or a blue? Thinking I'm United or City because I'm Mancunian. And I go, I'm neither. Oh, and then they're like, look at you. Or they ask you, and in Thailand, they say, oh, football, blah, blah, blah. And I know nothing about it. I don't know anything about football. And what I don't know about, I don't talk about, because I just look stupid. And if I've got no interest in it, I just shrug my shoulders. I don't particularly like the UFC. I don't dislike anyone in it or anything like that. It just doesn't rock my clock. MMA doesn't. I mean, I do work with some UFC fighters, and that's fine because it's just a job. But as to talk about it in the groups I'm in on a boxing group I'm in, when they talk about UFC, I just keep out of it because I don't know anything about it. So what I don't know about, I try and learn about from people that know more than me, not people that just made it up because they've seen a video on YouTube.
Yeah, obviously you say that you're working with fighters at the moment. What's the general consensus of how they're feeling? Because that, you know, they can't fight, they can't train, they can train but not properly, they can't learn. It's another,
could be a bit of a downhill on the mindset.
Yeah.
Not really, no. Not really, no, because this is where training comes involved. So if you've got a mindset of keeping it strong, then yes. The only thing that with fighters and because younger men than me and younger ladies than me is the testosterone level denotes that they'll have short tempers because they're used to using that energy to punch pads, kick pads, BJJ, boxing, whatever. They're used to expending that energy with that mindset and that focus. But when the discipline comes into dedication, they adhere to rules. All fighters, martial artists, boxers, etc., they all adhere to rules, and the rules are that there's discipline that's number one. So I just think it's difficult for them because I feel sorry for them because they're full of energy, aren't they? They can't. Most of them have got bags or pads or to kick on stuff like that, so they're itching to get to it. Obviously, you know who I'm friends with, etc. And it's difficult for them. But I'm really pleasantly surprised how the fighters that I know have handled it really well. like gone, yeah, it is what it is, and they've gone running, or they're doing, you know, copious amounts of burpees, etc., and stuff like that, and getting through it. So I wouldn't say that it's ideal for them, of course, but I'm very proud of the way they've handled it. The ones that I know, anyway.
Vinny, I want to ask you, so like during this time of isolation, how important is it for people to, I wouldn't like to call it a goal, but to have, I guess, some sort of purpose in their own life at this moment? How is it important to have that? I mean, with myself and James, what we're doing, we're working out, we're doing these podcasts, we're working on the podcast on the side. So we've got a few things that keeps us busy, that passes time. And, you know, we're not sat here all the time thinking about, oh, shit, when this is going to be over. So how important and why is it important, if it is, to have like a go-to?
The number one important thing, Julian, is to have a routine. I think you've got to have a routine. If you get a routine, days will go faster as well, because you do this, and this. Yeah. So your day will be more structured. You'll have less chance of wandering off. Anxiety is a big problem. And the reason anxiety exists is because you're focusing on what you don't want. So the trouble is with the mystery of what's going on and the mystery of what people put out there, when, like the video I spoke about before, what that can cause is your mind, your imagination to run wild, because then it has to insert things and adds things onto things and things onto things. I think that what you've got to do is, first of all, get yourself a routine. Secondly, I think, in my opinion, if you're of the mindset of, like you great guys and etc., and people that will watch this, is if you're not going to come out of this knowing yourself better, it's been a waste of time. You've got to learn to know yourself better, because we're not used to silence. We're not used to quietness, because we're running around, doing our jobs, doing our work, bouncing here from there and everywhere, Facebook, Instagram, messages, WhatsApp, blah, blah, blah. We're going to get bombarded with so much stuff. And although, yes, we can still get bombarded with this because we're in that, and we're probably using it a little bit more than we would, obviously, because we're at work. But if you're not using this time for you to go, what am I about? People always say, if I had more time, I'd learn this. If I had more time, and learn that if you had more time. You've got time now. So what are you doing with it? Little incremental things that change. If you make little tweaks to your diet, or you get up that hour earlier, or you do that run, or you do that walk, or you do that, learn to make this lasagna, whatever. You're learning something each time to prepare yourself for being a better person. It's tiny incremental steps. When people want to go on about changes, they go on about these massive changes that they think, right, I'm going to do this. And you know what? People don't, because they get drowned in these huge expectations of themselves, when it's tiny, tiny things, minute things that make differences, that make a difference. So it's like, I was learning this, and forgive me, I might be wrong, but I'm learning this. There's a thing called black box thinking, and I've just got the audio book now. I'm going to be listening to it tonight after speaking to you two wonderful fellas. And it says that there used to be lots of crashes in planes, because planes used to crash all the time. Because let's face it, a big chunk of metal's not meant to be in the air, is it really? You know, really, you know, in the laws of whatever. But we invented it, and they've done brilliantly, of course. Now, traveling by plane is the most safest travel you can ever have, because they've done that much by learning from their mistakes, that when you get a black box, which ironically is orange, if there's a crash, they'll go through it, and then they'll find out, right, what went wrong. Then they'll make a change. So they'll make a change to all the planes. It's like, I think it's something like 2,800,000 flights a year, and like 6 crash. Now, statistically, that's incredibly good. Why? Because they've made incremental changes to things. They haven't made massive changes. Like there was 2 buttons that were same on, I think it was, don't quote me on this, let's say the 767, and there was a spike of them crashing. So they changed the 2 dials, because one was for one thing, one was for another, and obviously one was catastrophic if you were going to land. So they changed the shape of them. So one was like turned into like a triangle, one was turned into a circle. So then the pilots knew instantly these statistics stopped. But it's incremental changes. But if you're not willing to do that, and you're not willing to make changes to make changes to your life, no one's going to do it for you. So you'll keep repeating the same mistakes. So you'll come out of the. Someone said to me the other day, I said, "Yeah, how are you?" Said, "I'm a little bit bored because I'm human. I get bored." And they say, "I roll then as well."
Oh, yeah, I know. Sorry, Vinny, you got cut off there. We don't pay for the Zoom, so we're cheapskate, so we only get 40 minutes.
No worries, all good.
You were talking about incremental changes, so changing the little things.
Yeah, little things. So someone said to me, "Oh, can't stop. Oh, it's just can't get my head out the fridge." Good, but that's a choice. So whatever, and it's even that. You say, "Oh, well, maybe I should keep my head out the fridge. Maybe I shouldn't eat like it's Christmas." Just little tiny things. So, and that's why flying is so successful, and we can learn from that by going, right, well, I'll make tiny changes, and it's only little bits.
I think that's such a great point. That's such a great point. I think in this world that we live in, we just look at these huge goals and we want them now, here, now, and then we don't appreciate small little things, making a nice omelette, being able to bake a nicer cake, like we don't put any sort of value into something like that where loads of people would see value in that, and it is kind of bettering yourself. So that's definitely a great point. Incremental, small little changes, because it does compound in the end to a bigger result. But we don't seem to appreciate that.
And I think, and that's exactly how it should be. It's just like, do little things for yourself, that you do stuff that you've not been doing, that spend that time to read that book. Even if you read a page, it's something. Even if you say, right, I'm going to read 3 pages a day, it's 3 pages a day more than not. It's just about little bits of things, differences that make a difference. Every day I do the Wim Hof method, the breathing, the Wim Hof method, and he made it free because of the coronavirus. So it's free for anyone who wants to go on the Wim Hof, which is WIMHOF. And I do that every day. And I go for it and have cold showers every day. I'm not trying to say I'm any better than anyone else. That's not. I'm better than what I was when I got into this. I know more now. I've got more information for my clients when I go back out to the world, in the world again. I've got more information. I'm learning more all the time, and it's just about, I'm not special. I'm not, better than anyone else. I'm just better than when I went in, and I think that's what we've got to be. Learn to make a lasagna then, or learn to cook curry, or whatever. Do something that you just wasn't able to do. I think it's like being like an egg, and you're like incubating it, and then when you hatch, you want to come out with, right, I'm going to be a little bit different because now I can do this. I think it's all about we've got to use this time constructively or destructively, and I think destructively is running around trying to find out truths in something, then trying to prove it, and then spending and look, believe me, I've done it myself, arguing with people about your point about what you think it is. It doesn't really matter in the big scheme of things, because you've still got to do exactly the same as me and everybody else, and you've got to adhere to rules. So regardless of what you say or think, nothing changes. So learn to do something that benefits you financially when you get out, or your family, or your friends, or just a little bit of extra skill that can, get you into a better frame of mind, and even giving yourself a pat on the back for doing it.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, you talked about like kind of like obviously like the compound effect and routine as well. So how important is consistency? Like you joke about the read 3 pages of a book a day. I read 10 pages a day because I'm fucking
Fair
shit.
enough.
But I do it every day. Well, today I fucked it off, but that's not the point. But generally speaking, the compound effect is the biggest thing. But consistency is always overlooked in it, because it's like motivation's ugly brother. But it's the one that works more. Yeah. Motivation works a few times.
Yeah.
But consistency works every fucking time.
Yeah, of course it does. And it's just about, give yourself no choice. It's a luxury problem to have a choice. It really is. Now that choices are being taken away from us because of the lockdown, we can't go to the pub and go see our mates. I can't come and see you guys and do the podcast. I will do in the future, but I can't do the podcast in your studio. That's life. That's the way it is, right? But if you're not using this time, then using this time by giving yourself zero choice. So give yourself zero choice. Say, all the choice I have is completing that. I've got no other choice. And then you're training your mind to say, your mind will wander off, oh, what's down here, or what's over there, or should we go and have a look at that? No. This is what we've got to do. This is what at this time. So at 12 o'clock, you've got to read your 10 pages of your book. Everything else you can do. At least you can look back on the day and say, oh, well, I read my 10 pages at 12 o'clock. My house has never been tidier. You know, my wife leaves a list of things for us to do. And some blokes might go, oh, I'm not fucking doing that. But I thought, good, because it'll give me something to do. It'll give me, and it gives me a responsibility. Yeah, gives me a responsibility. So I'm responsible now. I've got to do it. So when I do it, I don't get a round of applause of anyone. I should do, because I'm marvellous at hoovering. But I don't get a round of applause of anybody. But I've done it. So when you're doing these little positive steps, it makes you feel better. Because when you don't work, when you're not working and you've got nothing to do and you've got nothing to train for, that's when you start getting the rot. That's when people get stuck because they've got no occupation to occupy their mind. So you have to occupy it with things that are conducive with what you want to be when you get out, or what you want your life to be. So that's how I work it, you know. That's my opinion, and I think that's valid. I think everyone should look at something that they want to learn, look into it, read about it, even look on YouTube what you want to do about it. It's absolutely fine. And then start the processes of doing it. Even if it's knitting, I don't care. But as long as you're doing something that's positive mindset, instead of saying we're all going to fucking die. Because we are. Get over it. We're all going to die. It's not going to be yet, and we'll all die at different stages. But it's not going to be yet. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
So it's all guaranteed. One thing I was going to ask you, Vinny, do you know when you've got your clients and you are working with them to put in new practices, new rituals in place, and keeping on task with those, what are the few simple methods that you can share that people can employ? So in terms of what, writing it down.
I've got a sorry to interrupt you. I've got a system called the Shoreman solution, which is a series of videos, tips, and tricks that I released a while ago. They've got various hypnosis downloads on there. Anxiety. You two send me your number, and I'll send you over a couple of downloads for you as a treat for having me on. Yeah.
Nice.
No problem. And it's just about. That's what I do. That's what I've released because I wanted to work. You can't work with everybody. With my clients, it's always different because they vary in what they want. I have multi-millionaire business people who are fantastic guys, and just people from anywhere else, you know, just everybody. It's difficult to ever put that into an answer because they're so different and so unique that you always have to think outside the box. There's no really generic thing to do, I don't think. Just finding out what makes them tick and what makes them get where they want to get to. I think that everyone should allow themselves to learn something. I think once you start learning something or have a passion of just learning something, even if it's juggling, whatever, that's what keeps the mind occupied. If the mind's occupied on learning something, it also becomes tiring as well, mentally tiring, and that will slow your mind down as well. If you're mentally tired, it'll slow your mind down, make you, more subdued because your mind's occupied with something positive. I think it's paramount. I think it's very important.
So you mentioned about cold showers, and it all kind of interlinks. I kind of understand it. Julian started doing them, and he badgered me for so long that I fucking did them. Yeah. Now I do them every morning, and I see the benefit. And to be honest, I wanted to get your opinion on it because I have my own thoughts. But okay. I want to know, why do you do cold showers? Why?
Because look, I'm all right. I'm of an age. I'm 50 years of age, so I'm not going to be physically challenged by anyone. Hopefully not. I've got friends. So I've got nothing really to challenge myself. I like to go in it because I know the benefits of it. I've seen my pulse rate drop. My resting pulse rate is 49. I'm 50 years of age. Now, wow. Sprinters and all that have got low pulse rates. And because because my training with the Wim Hof method has lowered my pulse rate down to a level it's an athlete's range. And look at me. You know what I mean? I'm not an athlete like Onslow of keeping up appearances. But but it's trained me that well, and it's the discipline of not wanting to do it. I don't like it. I'm not going to go in the shower. I love a cold shower. Fuck off. I hate it. You know what I mean? But I know that the benefits are that, one, I've done something I didn't want to do, but I faced it and went and did it. And two, it trains your cardiovascular system. What I've seen it. I mean, I've been to Wim Hof's house. I've met him. I know him, know him, but I have met him. He knows my name, blah, blah. And I've seen the benefits of it. There's actual real evidence. And this is what I'm on about before I was talking to you off air. Sorry, my dog's got a cough. I've seen the benefits of it. I've seen the benefits of a cold. I've seen what it does, and it changes your pulse rate. Liam Harrison's pulse rate when he does the Wim Hof method and does the showering in training is 31. Jeez. I've actually seen it, and he sent me his watch, a picture of his Garmin watch being 30. There is something going on there. So there's evidence. My belief is that if you can endure it, then it's a pat on the back. It's all about, we don't survive in easy times. We don't learn from easy times. We learn from difficulty. And this is what I'm saying about this. It's obviously a curse for some people because they've lost loved ones. My heart goes out to them. But for us, I think as an insistence, as a race, we've got to learn from it, because it's a time of war. It's an invisible enemy, but it's a time of war. So we've got to do our bit by getting to be better people. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's my opinion.
That's what I was hoping you'd say when I asked you, is that it's a rare thing to be able to make yourself do something that you don't want to do.
Exactly.
And that's the difference between, like, the people that you see smashing whatever they're doing, smashing whatever field. You don't have to be Michael Jordan, but the people that are that little step ahead are always the ones that buckle down and do that crap that no one wants to do.
Yeah.
A cold shower is that little life lesson. Like,
of course it is. Yes.
Up at 6 o'clock and go stand in a freezing cold shower. Yeah. I don't think I reckon it's like 10% of people would be able to do that, and it's tiny, but it does compound.
It is when you come out of that shower.
It fucking is, yeah.
Fucking hell. Like, mine's massive anyways. It's like a roll of wallpaper. Fucking hell. But I mean, I just think for me, I think it's challenging yourself to do something you don't want to do. Because then you've got more persuasion with your own mindset then. You know, you're more likely to survive in arduous times. Do you know what I mean? Because you're pushing yourself to a point where I think, right, okay. And I'm not saying that it's just tiny bits. Cold showers, like staying in it for 30 seconds. And I never shiver now. I mean, I'm sure you don't, neither does Julian. You don't shiver anymore. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
Because your body's used to it. So the natural reaction is, oh, fucking hell, oh. I mean, you know, and all this sort of, like, you mix a roast potato and it's dead on. Like that. And then you sound like fucking Rolf Harris then. I don't do what Rolf Harris did. And then you're like, it's a little thing then. It's a little thing. Like, before I was talking to you, I was like, look, had a shave, had a shower, and then thought, fuck it, I'll have the cold shower now. You know, and it's these little things that not looking at why this world's shit, why they're richer than us, why they're that. Why they're this? Sorry about that. Someone rang me. Why they're this? Why they're that? Stop worrying about everybody else and get on with you. Start getting on with you. Do you, and everything else will make a difference that makes a difference. Get on with your own business. Look after your own family. Be as nice as you can. Be as courteous as you can. Be as decent as you can to everybody. And the rest will take care of itself. That's me.
That's a great point. On that, let's move to part 2 of the show. So we've got a couple of lockdown questions to ask you. I don't think we've prepped you for these, so we'll roll them off.
Yeah, go on. You have to make it quick because I've got another Zoom call. But go on.
Go on, James.
All right,
with number 1.
We'll wrap them up in 4 minutes. We'll be out. So first one is 2 people, dead or alive, to be locked down with, and why?
Can my wife hear this?
If you show her the episode, yeah.
Shakira and her twin sister. No, 2 people to be locked down with, to learn from. God.
You don't have to learn from him. You can. I'm sure.
No. Listen, none of that. Oh God, Milton Erickson, who's a very famous hypnotherapist, who was known for his high-level skills, and another guy who I'm a big fan of called John Overdorf, who's brilliant linguistically.
Nice. If you can recommend a book or a documentary or a movie for people to watch during this isolation, what is it and why?
A book to read. Your Erroneous Zones by Dr. Wayne Dyer is a fantastic book that I started reading when I first started on this journey of being a mind coach. A documentary is good one's called The C Word, which is about cancer.
C Word.
And explain, and it's done by doctors. It's not done by others.
What set you off?
Don't set me off.
Next question is, what's the first thing that you're going to do once lockdown is lifted?
See my son.
Nice.
Solid.
See him. Go and give my well, my son's bigger than me. Go and give my son a massive hug. Yeah, that's the main thing.
Nice.
That's it. Well, Vinny, thank you again for taking the time and coming on and sharing your views
I
with
do
us.
get carried away as well.
No, that's all good. Love it.
All good.
Love it. Hopefully next time we can do it in the studio and live. But again, thanks for making the time for coming on. Appreciate that,
No
mate.
problem. And bounce your numbers over on Instagram. I'll send you these downloads, okay?
No, definitely. Look forward to it.
Bless you, brothers. Take care.
Take it easy, mate.
One love.
Bye.
Bye, mate.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Much love. Bye-bye.